to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Welcome to the kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the call of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series as Race 7 of the season gets to test their skills at the 1 mile concrete mess. It's known as Miles the Monster, a track that is going to tear up the tires. And how many drivers can make it to the end of this race? We're going to find out here tonight. Again, we're excited to give you all the calls here from Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me, as always, on Monday nights is Zach Hall. And Zach, coming off of last week from Chicagoland, certainly got to see drivers testing their abilities with some late cautions that squeezed up the field at times. But ultimately, it was a lot of great racing that brought out Colin Carroll to show that he is the driver to beat. Tonight, it certainly is going to be another tough task. Can he continue on his winning ways?
It's going to be definitely difficult still with this tough field that we have here tonight for him to be able to put the performance on the hat on last week, but we'll have to see if he can, because Dover is such a different racetrack than what we've seen so far, really, in our 3 races. We've seen Richmond, we've seen Chicagoland, now a 3rd race here tonight for us here at Freaky Fast. It's going to be Dover, and the high banks here, the concrete, it's just such a tire wear monster of a track that I think that's going to be a huge topic of discussion, is how much tires can you save. And when we were at Richmond, I know that was the race that you missed, Sam, but that race really showed that the 7 was vulnerable in those longer runs at some of those shorter tracks. I'm interested to see if that can carry over tonight here at Dover, or does this track kind of simulate too much of an intermediate where his skills have shown to be really, really good so far this season, where he's been the best driver on the intermediates.
Yeah, and the driver of note to watch out for has got to be Drew Blaze. 88 really didn't perform as well as I think a lot of people were expecting last week when we were at Chicagoland. Started lingering in the back, stayed in the back all night long. And we'll see if he can find a little bit of speed here tonight from our Richmond winner. Other drivers that look to be quick based off of practice: Jeffrey Goodpaster, going to be the one machine out on track. Curious on how well they're going to run, but one driver that is hoping to finish the race here tonight. 4th on our current leaderboard, 45 of Mike Fahey. I know he didn't have the race he wanted last week. Found himself caught up in trouble that threw his race away, but the 45 looked quick last week. And honestly, I'm curious on if he could continue with that speed here tonight.
It will be interesting to see how that carries over here tonight. Also, with it being Dover, it's going to be the different package. We're going to be on the short track package, which means we're going to be 750 horsepower instead of that 550 that they had last week at Chicagoland. And also, much shorter spoiler on these race cars here with this low downforce, high horsepower package that we're running at these short tracks. It's going to be quite a handful, and I think, again, that's why tire wear is going to be a huge topic of discussion, as you can see here, everybody in these final 11 minutes of this warm-up, trying to get what little bit they can learn here for these 260 laps here tonight, because I think this track is going to go through a ton of changes. We've talked about all the rubber updates, all the changes that we've seen throughout these past few weeks of iRacing. I think Dover is going to be one of the tracks affected most by that, due to it being a concrete surface and the way rubber lays down on these concrete surfaces. I think it'll definitely give this race a little spice up if we ever see that yellow flag come out here tonight, because I think you'll see the track change a ton.
I mean, we're already seeing it right there off the exit of turn 2. That's going to be a troublesome spot. Exit of turn 4, when the track just narrows up, that's going to be the part of this race I think a lot of drivers are going to have to be considerate about, of give each other plenty of space. It's going to be a long race here tonight, 260 laps in total. No stage, no fast repairs. But the big thing you note that you talked about, rubber is going to be talked about how the track visibly looks and how that changes the handlings. But with only 4 sets of tires to work with here tonight, that's going to be a big factor to watch out for. But you hit the wall, hit other drivers, incident points. Been seeing that throughout the last couple of weeks. Drivers got to be careful. You don't want to get a drive-through penalty at 14 incident points. You will get a drive-through at 20 incident points. You are disqualified from this race. And with how close everyone's going to be here tonight, that's, I think, going to be my big note to watch out for, is avoid contact with the wall and other drivers here this evening.
That's very, very true, Sam. Yeah, that number will sneak up on these drivers very quickly, with 260 laps being the total count here tonight. On the longer side of the distances, that will make it very difficult with how this track races. It's one of the toughest out there, and incidents are easily able to pile up here if we're struggling just a little bit even with the balance of that race car. And I think that will be the main topic of discussion. You brought it up, 4 sets of tires in pit road also. That, with the tire wear factor, is going to be a huge thing. I think the biggest thing all these drivers need to factor into their brain is they have 4 sets in pit road. So that means, in my opinion, you need to at least, at most, at the least you possibly can do 50 laps on a set of tires. Because if you have to go upwards of 70, 80 laps on some of these tires, it's going to get very, very difficult for some of these drivers to keep that wear in the range of not having failures. I think that was a huge thing I read in just a little bit. I got to look through their Discord here with the chat with the drivers. A lot of them talked about the concern and the thought of blowing the tires here, and not just right front tires that we see sometimes, the right rear. So we might see some catastrophic failures out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can find a driver, though, that can be a tire whisperer of sorts, they can stretch it out as far as those 70, 80 laps. That's going to make the rest of this race so much easier to look through a lens of, okay, I don't have to worry about my tires as much. As we're going to take a look at how the standings have been so far this season. As we've ran so far 6 races, top of the leaderboard is the driver with the most wins. That's Colin Clary. That's going to be the 7 machine. 3 wins in total, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s over the 6 races, with a 31-point advantage over Austin Messi. I mean, I'm going to be seeing that Austin in second. I'm curious, Zach, for Austin and everyone else behind, I mean, this gap is ballooning out quickly. You got to find a way to rein in this 7, because already 3 wins, a 30-point advantage just to second, 50 to third, 70 back to fourth. That's when we see the rest of the field really collected closer with one another.
I think if you're Colin, you're going to say what could have been with Richmond, you know, with the black flag there on the last restart of that race. He could have been sitting at 4 wins, technically. So it definitely is a scary sight to see him already growing the points lead is. But I think if you're the other drivers, you just have to really focus on consistency now. Just make sure you're out there getting the most points you possibly can. And you never know, Colin might run into the issues. These cars very difficult to drive some of these tracks. It's going to be really up to the drivers to stay consistent, be the best they possibly can. And I'm interested to see, you know, some of these drivers farther down the list really start to climb up with some good performances. So I think the farther we get into the season, the more we're going to see some of these drivers really come into their stride.
Man, I mean, looking at these points, it is awesome to see how close it is. 4th all the way down to like 16th. I mean, these guys are right on top of each other in points, and that means that you can really gain a lot with a good running here tonight. Let's take a look at this, how the season and the schedule's been so far as well. I'm curious on that side of Zach, because the schedule so far, you got a long race here tonight at Dover. Every race is pretty long, but next week, it's the longest race on the schedule. We head to Charlotte for the full length, 400 laps, 600 miles. It's going to be a long one for the driver. It's going to be a long one for us, but next week's a don't miss race. And then Watkins Glen, the one and only road course. But so far this season, I start off with the win of Austin, then Clary, Justin Johnson, he's got back out there on track. Then we also have Clary back to victory lane, and then the Richmond fiasco race with Blaze into victory lane. Then last week with Clary getting the win again. I'm excited for what the future holds for the rest of the season and the rest of the league on how they try to retaliate back to this 7.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see how they can bounce back. I mean, tonight would be a good start for them here at Dover, because if you can get some points on them here tonight, maybe that makes the factor going into next week at Charlotte, where the intermediate track again. One of the specialties, it seems, of Colin so far this season has been his intermediate program. And, you know, next week, with it being a full-length race, you got to be very, very consistent. If you have some bad momentum from tonight, maybe that can carry over in there and have some bad signs from there. But we'll have to see, of course, with all the other races, of course, the road course. We don't know exactly who's going to be the guy to beat there. It's going to be, I think, a very fun season to see as it goes through, who kind of ebbs and flows as the driver to beat, so to say.
As drivers continue on with their practice here tonight, there again, no qualifying in this league. I think that's kind of the fun aspect, no qualifying. That means your positioning is a little bit random. There's a few drivers that know exactly where they will be going, though, with penalties that are that will be given out right at the grid. That's going to be Kevin Couch as well as Caden Watts. Both will be given an EOL with being involved with incidences last week. So we'll see both of them going to the back. Everyone else, though, wherever they where they are placed with the random qualification is where they get to run. I mean, Zach, that's a fun factor, because it gives the drivers that qualify in the back, or given the back of qualifying, that chance for the 1 bonus point of the most positions gained.
Exactly right. And, you know, it's going to be a fun watch, I think, for us all throughout the night to see who can be in that position. So we'll see how it shakes out when the green flag comes out here in, you know, 4 minutes time or so, and we'll get to see how these drivers attack the Monster Mile. But right now, I think the biggest thing in these final 3 minutes, these drivers just really need to be focused on probably getting just some pit road practice, because I think that's another thing I haven't really noted on yet here tonight, but we will definitely, if we get to a green flag situation, is how difficult this pit road is to make a mistake. It's, first off, 35 mile an hour all the way around that pit road, and I can tell you, when you're going at the speeds you are here at Dover, I mean, you can see the wrecks these guys have at the speeds, how violent they are. When you're going that fast around this track, when you go 35 down pit road, it feels like you're literally crawling. So it's very easy to speed and very easy also to make a mistake getting on the pit road, because it's just a very flat transition from a high bank racetrack to a 35 mile an hour speed limit zone. It does not equate to good luck for a lot of people.
I mean, that pit entry, probably one of the top dangerous pit entries in all of the service here on iRacing. That entry can sneak up on you. Those pit barrels are waiting. If you're just going just a little bit too quick, I mean, you got to opt out very quickly or you're locking up and spinning out on entry.
No doubt. I mean, we've seen it from real life. Matt Kenseth, I believe he took the barrels with him a year there with him. So it's easy to do. Some of the best out there can make that mistake and just try to get too much on entry. And even we talk about the entry of pit road, I'll even double down and say that the exit of pit road here is also very, very not cut and dry. As you look at it, you would think it would be a pretty easy exit out of pit road, just with it, coming out at 35 mile an hour. But it's so bumpy and just weird little bumps on the exit of the apron there on 1 and 2. So it can make things tricky there getting up the speed. I've seen people spin as they come out of pit road there, but I think tonight drivers are just going to be focused on trying to make sure that they can keep this car out of the wall and out of trouble, because that's all what Dover is. This is one of the more tracks where you race the racetrack instead of your competitors, to really make sure you have an opportunity when it gets down to the final 50 laps to be in the quest for that race win.
We want to say thank you to all those that are joining us out in the chat. Who are you rooting for? Who's the driver team that you feel like is going to be the one to watch out for here tonight? I think a lot of us up at the booth, we've kind of got our favorites that we are expecting to be quick, but who can maybe steal the show here tonight? We're excited again to give you all the coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Running production in the background is owner of Freaky Fast as well as producer. That's Robert Moyer Jr., who's giving you all the graphics here this evening as you're watching the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing Series. Race 7 is on the docket here this evening as we get ready for the racing action of 260 laps. No stage, no fast repairs, just 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. They also have an extra 5th set that they start the race off, so they should have enough tires to make it to the end of this thing. But tires will be the conversation of the evening. Zach, before we get to racing action, any final thoughts? Anything that you're expecting that maybe might shock people when you come to Dover in a really tough track that they're going to be dealing with here tonight?
I think one thing that could shock a little bit of people, we've seen the next gen car around here. It is very, very quick. Also, restarts can get wild in the next gen. But in my opinion, this car becomes even a little bit step further on the wild side when it comes to these restarts. You come into the box very, very slow, very low grip. And with that 750 horsepower now that we have here at Dover, the little spoiler on the back end, you will spin the tires very easily. So these restarts all night long, especially as the tires get older, are only going to get more and more difficult. So I think everybody's got to watch out, not only for, going down to turn 1, but I'd say at the start and finish line, we possibly could see some fireworks flying.
Who is ready and to survive the long evening? Is Miles the Monster ready to be feasting on a couple of vehicles? Or can we have our first race that goes clean and green? Let's find out where the drivers will be starting out here this evening. 25 drivers enter for a chance of victory here at Dover, and starting up front, it's the driver who has to go to the back of the line. Caden Watts, the 30 machine, was gifted the lead. Then on his outside is going to be the 3 of Chris Lossus, who's going to be seeing how the 3 machine can move forward. Then it's going to be Russell Watson, Russell Windsor, who's going to be finding his way, trying to go forward. He will be slotted in the first position. Then in 4th place, going to be Jordan Maddox in the 37. Mike Fahey in the 45 with a good position to start out this race in 5th. 6th is going to be the 10 machine of Justin Johnson, DadBod.Studios himself. Go check out his Twitch stream either tonight or right now, as he's most likely live at this time broadcasting this race. Have both streams up of our broadcasts in his own POV. Behind in 7th, it's going to be 85 of Alan Swan. And then it's the 8th position, the 24 of Nicholas Dan Francesco. We'll see how the 24 can move his way forward with Kenneth Blackburn in the 155 in 9th, and Austin Gruel in 10th place for the 94.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 19 of Jacob D. Booth. Starting alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 55 of James Dubose. 13th is going to be the 33 of Harold Crow, with Tony Idaluca starting alongside him in 14th. 15th place is going to be held by Matthew Hobbs in the 44 machine, with Eric Dillingham in the 16th spot on the outside. 17th on the inside row, it's going to be Corbin Reich with Randy Koching on the outside. They're starting in 18th. 19th is going to go to the Johnny Bobby Brown, and rounding our top 20 is going to be Paul Boomershine.
And then Jeffrey Goodpaster in the 1, going to be in 21st, with the going to be finding the 7 of Colin Clairhy, going to be finding himself in 22nd position. Drew Blaze in the 88, going to be in 23rd, with Ken Couch going to be in 24th. Again, another driver will be sent to the end of the line, but he's already starting back there. Not a bad place to be. And then in the 97, last driver on the grid will be Austin Meese in the 97. So that's going to be our 25 drivers that are gridded up, getting ready for tonight's race. Should be a good one here this evening. 126 drivers expected to race, but we will step away for a quick moment because the drivers had to step away for a time. So we will go to a Be Right Back screen, and we'll be back with racing action here in just a few moments. It was a awkward sprint to try to get us into the right server, as the first server got knocked out because we accidentally started DQing drivers instead of giving them EOL penalties. Second server, we were in Australia when we're supposed to be in North America, and so we changed out the server for the third time. We are missing a few drivers here so far. We're missing at least 2 that were supposed to be a part of the original grid, but we got 23, and it's going to be Jeffrey Goodpaster. Kenneth also going to be seeing the 30 machine of Caden Watts and the rest of the field ready to get to racing action as we are green here tonight at Dover for 260 laps. Let it begin, and it's already going to be seeing Goodpaster with a good launch for himself. Booth, Dillingham, and the rest of the field off the exit turn 2 into turn 3, and it's all Goodpaster pulling away.
It is Goodpaster with a great launch here on that first lap. It looks like finally getting clear is going to be Jacob D. Booth there in front of Eric Dillingham as you see the 89 a little bit at the racetrack. Now Mike Fahey going to try to take third position here. 1 and 2 will get that done, but question is, who is going to be easy on the tires here early, kind of give up a little bit of speed here possibly, because we know tire wear here at Dover is always the main topic of discussion.
It certainly is, as drivers already close to that outside wall. The 19 of Jacob D. Booth did touch the wall. He slammed it off the exit of turn number 4, and that will give Fahey a chance for second place as Goodpaster continues to pull away. Everyone else single filing now, but the 19, that one contact, you gotta hope that that doesn't add any extra damage. If you get any wheel damage, I mean, that's just gonna make this night even tougher than it already is 3 laps in. And trouble in the back, caution, and it's the 7 who's involved.
Last week's winner and points leader involved in this one, like you said, Sam, and it's going to be a pretty heavy hit here for the 7. You can see the damage on the right front there. That car is hurt.
It is hurt, and it was a dive bomb gone wrong as Ken Couch attempting to make a big move on the 7, and instead our points leader not looking to be able to finish this race. Heavy damage, required damage, and will be heading into pit road, as that was an incident that you never want to see. But here we go. It's going to be seeing the 7 on the outside attempting to go for a pass, and the 08 is going to say no about it as contact's made, and there goes our points leader. Race might be done with that contact.
Very well might be done. That's a lot of damage there on that race car. Got to get it worked on, but yeah, you can see there 7 goes to the outside, 08 here on the inside. The thing you're going to see though right here, not from this view really that well, but the 08 is going to clip that apron on the entry, and when he clips it, that car bottoms out and it goes straight up the racetrack into the 7. So Colin, just an innocent bystander there from a slight mistake from Couch. He's trying to get that early entry in. You try to get low here very quickly, but he just got a little too low, and that's what caused that 08 to shoot so dramatically up the track that fast, and definitely unexpected, I think, from his side.
And Colin is over the radio, frustrated, not happy about it. I mean, you just sat there for over 25 minutes trying to get the server correct for us to even go green, and your race might be over just 4 laps in. You see a couple of drivers heading into pit road, going to top off on fuel. I hope nobody takes tires here, because if you take tires at this moment, your race also could be over in a blink of an eye, because the amount of tire sets that we have working here this evening is going to be only 4 in pit road. Don't want to use one now, because if you do, you might not have enough tires at the end of this race.
That's exactly right, Sam. You do not want to forget to uncheck those tires when you come to pit road here tonight. You're going to want to be saving those sets for sure for as long as you possibly can. And these caution laps help these drivers for those green flag runs. The more caution laps they have here, the longer they'll be able to go on this green flag run here and really just give them a little bit more tire life to play with for later in the race. So I think some drivers probably going to be liking this caution, while some of the others maybe who are trying to save a little tires are now going to be saying, man, I wish maybe I wouldn't have gave up as many spots as before. But we'll see how this works out. A few drivers with that top-off strategy could be just looking to add a little bit of different strategy to the playbook, because like I think even you brought it up in the warm-up, if you can go that 70-lap distance on a set of tires, where some may not be able to do that, I think that's going to be a huge benefit tonight if you're able to make the tires last that long.
As seeing drivers getting ready for this restart, got to be one to go. As we're going to be seeing the one of Goodpaster going to be going to the inside. And drivers having a little bit of fun with the admin group over race chatter. Because of all the server issues, one of the drivers decided to throw a joke saying, were the caution laps even counting? Yes, they've been counting. And poor Justin Johnson had a heartbreaking moment of, are they? He was a little nervous, but Zach, you love it when this session finally gets working and you finally can get to racing action.
Oh, yeah, especially, trust me, I've been there, done that. So no, that feeling of your heart dropping and saying, what did I mess up? So it's so easy to do a lot of the settings, and we got it all right now. And hey, while we were at it, we traveled across the world here in one night. So who would have thought we'd have been in Australia? Now we're back in Ohio.
Yeah, that first session again, that's why we're delayed right now. We're only 7 laps in of 260. We accidentally disqualified drivers and weren't able to take those disqualifications away under our first session. We're in the wrong server for session number 2. We were in Australia, but here for session number 3, we got 22 drivers out on track, hoping to finish out this race. And a little bit of trouble going to be happening further on back. Drivers a big wheel spin and fading quickly for a few, but it's going to be Mike Fahey. Great launch for himself off the exit of turn number 4, and to the lead is the 45, as everyone else trying to take all the positions they can before single file out.
That they are, man. I told you before the race even started there, I felt like wheel spin would be an issue, and just on 8-lap old tires, not even 8-lap green laps on those tires, drivers are already feeling the pain of trying to get those tires up to this low downforce, high horsepower package. That's what you get with this thing. So this is going to be fun to watch. And look at even the track, Sam. It is cleaned off a ton with those caution laps. The track is almost the bottom, just completely, that lighter color. So we're going to lay that rubber back down, and the track is going to go through more changes of just how the tire wear affects the track and the balance of your race car.
And also, the balance of this track, it's going to be an awkward one throughout this evening. For us on the broadcasting side, and for the drivers, it's heading into the nighttime for most of the drivers. But for in-sim, it's morning. It's actually 7 in the morning for in-sim time. That means this track is going to warm up. It's going to get hotter and hotter throughout this session. It was at 70 degrees for the track temp. It's already up to 72 degrees. We're expecting that ambient air temperature to ramp up throughout this 260-lap race. And I think, Zach, that's going to be a fun part of the race, on top of seeing all those marbles up there and how this track is going to evolve on just the grip levels.
And on board here with Hobbs. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Sam, with that. It is going to be fun to watch how these drivers manage that. And really, as the track starts to lose grip, that's a huge hit to the outside wall.
And that's going to be Tony Idaluca that gets tapped and sent to the outside. As we were right on board with Hobbs, he was going for a big run with a 16. Early exit might be hitting the driver that had a rough one last week as well, as already drama's afoot here, not even 20 laps in, as Tony's got to head to pit road. That is required damage for this 16.
2 weeks in a row now, like I said. Him just caught out here under green flag laps, and no caution for both those wrecks that he was involved in these past 2 weeks. So that is a heartbreaker, and like you said, it broke the right front. So he's going to have to come down here and get that car worked on. That is a very difficult pill to swallow, I think, for the 16 here, 2 weeks in a row, the same issue.
And we just got a comment in the chat talking about our leaderboard car number. Yes, there has been a lot of issues here tonight. We had our graphics all figured out and fixed for the first session, but with all the different sessions that have been popping up, our graphics package is kind of confused. It's a little bit not sure where things were at. The names were correct. The car numbers were wrong. As currently, we're going to drop that down. We'll bring up the graphics back up here shortly. But currently on top is going to be Mike Fahey with Jeffrey Pastor going to be in second, with Jacob D. Booth in third. Also going to see Dan Chesko going to be in fourth position in the 24. And Boomshiner in fifth place. We are not under caution, but we are trying to get our graphics up, as currently we are trying to get this figured out as quickly as possible. We've already lost one driver. It looks to be the 7 of Colin Clare, he who was involved with that incident, but another troublesome spot as the 44 of Matthew Hobbs has required damages and sent to pit road.
And they're just popping up left and right now. Drivers run into issues here in the first 17 laps of this race, and that is not unlike Dover at all. This place known to be a track that really just seems to take out the best of them, and right now there's been a few drivers already involved in a few incidents, and this 44 who we saw there at the contact with the 16 who got him involved in that, he's now looks like got in some trouble. I'm not sure if it was from help from others, but he definitely had some issues there. Actually, yeah, all by himself, lost it off the 2, had to go back and check, but yeah, lost it off a 2 into that inside wall, and it's a classic Dover syndrome right here.
Yeah, the 44, this kind of a snowball restart. He was the driver of that massive wheel spin to start this runoff, then made contact with Idaluca, and now with his own incident to sent him into pit road with required damage. As we're losing drivers quickly. I mean, we're 19 laps in, and we're already down to just 20 of what was supposed to be 25 in our first server. We dropped it down to 23 for our third server that we had up, which is the one we're in currently. And we've already lost 3 drivers to incidents in the first 17 laps of this race. Seeing some of the action in the middle of the pack. Drivers back and forth. This is for 9th place of seeing Alan Swan. Also the 88 of Drew Blaze. And also seeing that's going to be Corbin Reich in the 21 Red Bull machine, and already close to the wall. Got to stay away from that Swan, as the 85 had to quickly rip it away from the wall.
It has been, I think, the number one issue for a lot of these drivers is just keeping that car from wanting to push up out the racetrack on the exits of the corner and hit those walls. We've always seen Dover be a real big issue that everyone fights, and it is continued to be that way here tonight for this Gen 6 race car, and these drivers are not having the greatest luck with it so far. Definitely a few of them, I think, caught off guard with it maybe, and these others are going to have to really manage the race now. We're only 22 laps into this 260, and when you see a few drivers drop out like that, it can be kind of a wake-up call saying, okay, I got to be on my P's and Q's. We see their Swan up into the wall, not as bad as what we've seen from others, but up into that wall, and that just leads to more issues. Can't be doing that 23 laps already in.
Absolutely not. That was Bobby Brown that we saw behind them, also clobbered the wall. And it is just ruthless what is happening right now. Tony DiDeluca, driver of the 16 that was tapped by Matthew Hobbs and was sent to pit road with required damage. It looks like the 16 able to get back out on track, but does have a black flag that he has to serve to come back into pit road to get some of that. I believe he was speeding into pit road and off exit, so the 16 will have to make an emergency pit stop again to serve their penalty. But Zach, this is just a topsy-turvy evening. 25 laps in, but we know that the wall is a dangerous spot, but we're 25 laps away from seeing tires might be in trouble of implosion. And see DeLuca slow on the inside, trying to find his way into pit road.
Here we are, yeah, DeLuca coming back here to pit road. We'll see how he gathers that up. I believe he's got a black flag, so he'll have to serve. But yeah, you know, the tires is what I'm really monitoring right now, especially lap time wise. We're seeing right now up front leaders running about 2370s up front, and it's crazy they took off at about a 2320s, or I mean 2220s. So they're already running about a second and a half slower, only 25 laps into this run, and we've had some caution laps to help that. So the tire wear definitely there, and it's only going to continue, I think, to get worse. It's just going to be a question of who can stretch these runs out the longest, because we might see some drivers who are really, really quick not be able to do that, and it comes to an issue where they're going to have to make extra pit stops compared to some of these other guys who can stretch it farther with just a little bit slower pace.
Expecting to be a little bit of a holding penalty for the 16 as they're back into pit road. Hobbs is still out, still getting repairs done, but Zach not fully out of this race yet. The 7 of Colin is back out on track, and he's about to take a position away with Idaluca officially leaving the server. Colin might grab at least the position, and even grab 2 with the timing of seeing the 7 getting all those repairs done.
That's very well. I mean, he's only a lap behind Hobbs even now too. So, yeah, I think the 7 very well could grab at least 2 spots here. And if other people have issues, I mean, we're only 20-some laps in right now, and 3 drivers have had issues so far. It's very well that that door could open up even more for some of them. So I think a lot of drivers, even if you get knocked out or out of this race early, just because you go laps down doesn't mean you can't salvage maybe even a top 15 day out of this.
Want to move up to 9th place, as that's Eric Dillingham in the 89, as they're challenging with Reich in the 21 and with Swan. This grouping of 3 continue on their racing way of back and forth, and it's Eric Dillingham who was placed in 4th position to start this race off. But it is a handful, 30 laps in, of drivers trying to find their footing. And this 89, one of those that really is backing off the pace. I don't know if this is a tire strategy call or just the handling itself is really falling away from the 89.
It really does seem to be falling away a little bit right here. But at the same time, it could be a little bit of a strategy. Maybe he knows he needs to be at a certain pace to get to a certain lap. Some drivers have practiced that probably throughout the week, saying if I run this pace, the tires will last this long. So it is kind of a formula sometimes you got to equate for, but the formula also says stay out of the wall, and he was flirting with disaster there as came so close on the X there for the 89. Now Corbin Wright going to take maybe another little quick look here off of 2, but I think the 89 going to have enough of a run here to hold him off.
Oh, trouble behind him, as that's going to be Johnny Bobby Brown going with a big slide again off the exit turn 2 right in front of Justin Johnson. Justin's able to sweep their way by Bobby Brown. Oh, trouble afoot around this field, as looks like Colin Clary going to be calling it a race again after passing Hobbs in Idaluca. So a little bit of update for our points leader, but man, oh, you got a feeling this race, it might be a long one if everyone is just saving these vehicles every other lap with how the handling is falling away and just trying to stay away from the wall, as this pack's starting to split up just a little bit. One driver that's on the move up in 3rd position, Paul Boomershine, got a top 3 last week, finishing 2nd, was able to finally finish in the top 3 on their own drives and not feeling like they lucked into it based off their Richmond chaos. But it's 92 showing some good speed and carrying those tires quickly ahead.
Definitely, Paul looked great on that last run at Chicagoland last week, was able to really challenge Colin better than anybody did that whole night at Chicagoland. So carrying some momentum over here tonight to Dover, looking very, very strong for that 92. But he's also got Austin Mees there in the 97, not too far behind, who seems to be closing in just a little bit. And lap time wise, Mees that time there was the quickest of the top drivers in the top 5. Now outside the top 5, the fastest car on the racetrack I've been watching it kind of modern is the 88 of Drew Blaze. We've seen him at Richmond have really good long run pace. Well, he's kind of showing it again here tonight here at Dover, kind of really letting the car come into the run, and it's really played into Drew's favor. As right now he's about 2/10 quicker than most on the field.
And there goes Austin Mees, 2nd place in the points, and trying to have a big points day with seeing trouble of some of his competition all around. Speaking about trouble, one driver slow back in 6th, 17th, 18th, and falling quicker down. That will be Russell Windsor in the 14, and will come to a complete stop and toe to pit road. Required damage after slamming the wall off out of 4.
Ooh, that was close to being a caution there with him stopped right there, and that was a huge moment that could have changed the complexion of this race here a little bit. But we stay green, and Russell, into pit road, had to tow, and that car seems to be a little bit damaged there, but not as bad as what I've seen some of the others. So we'll see if he gets back out there. But man, just show it here early at Dover. First 40 laps of this race, it has been a tough one for a few drivers.
I think we all knew that this track has the opportunity of being kind of ruthless to drivers, especially if you're kind of overdriving the car. But this is just everyone from second on back seems to be having an issue. The one driver that looks confident up front is Mike Fahey. Once he grabbed the lead off the restart, has been building out the lead to over 3 seconds. Now it has been cut down, as we're going to see Nicholas DeFrancesco catching up. But this has certainly turned into a weird race of who can really put the pressure on and force the issue on their tires, but also not just throw away their car off the to the corner.
That's exactly right, Sam. And it's going to be interesting to see because we're getting here now to 41. The window does open for the first pit strategy of the book here in about 10 laps. At lap 52, that window will open for a 4-stop pit strategy if we were to go green. So we'll see if there's any takers of that first window. The second window, in my opinion, if you want to get onto a 3-stop strategy and use one less set of tires and one less pit stop, you're going to have to at least go 65 laps. So those drivers would need to at least go another 25 or so on those tires if they want to get there. But we could be seeing our first couple pit stops here of the night around that 52 to 60 marker, in my opinion, of those drivers who just don't feel confident enough to make that 3-stop work here tonight.
It's so tough to look around and see where can you find advantages and can you stretch your tires out while also holding track position. He's falling backwards is the 19 of Jacob D. Booth. At one moment was up in front of the top row, now is all the way back to 11th place. This green flag run has carried on. One driver that's moving forward, 8th place runner, that's Justin Johnson, the X Machine, the man who runs the DadBod.Studios on TikTok, and a lot of drivers getting into the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series based off of his TikTok streams. Right now, he is the driver that backed off his pace early, didn't put down any really fast times initially to start this race off, and is being rewarded now into the top 10 and battling for this 7th place position.
Yeah, big time rewarded for sure. And we got to remember, he's missed the last 2 races. So first debut race was here at Freaky Fast for Justin Johnson here. But the thing I look at is, he came into missing those 2 races. He was tied for the points lead. So he was having a fantastic start to his season, had to miss those last 2 races. But tonight, doing a really good job. Up from that 21st starting position all the way up to that 7th spot. And that is, I think, going to be right now on his mind of being very, very happy with it. Now, it is 7 seconds up the road to the next car. But at the same time, great drive through the field for Justin Johnson right now.
I mean, the fact that you're able to get by this cluster that has been on top of each other from this 8th place back to 13th position, a huge success you can take for the 10. Staying low, right in on board the 89 at Dillingham. Dillingham does not want to just give away this spot as easily as we've seen, but behind them, trouble is afoot for the 19 of Jacob D. Booth once again into the outside wall. Not required damage for the 19, but you got to be a little bit concerned on the fact of every time you hit the outside wall, that is doing a little bit more wear and tear on your tires on top of body damage that you're taking on.
That is for sure, Sammy. Not only does that too, but it weakens up that side of that car, and it's just going to get worse every time it compounds itself. So, yeah, Jacob D. Booth, he had a few moments last week. It was really a few of them really hard into the wall at Chicagoland. So, been flirting with disaster there, kind of flirting with disaster here tonight. And I tell you, if he comes out of here with a clean right side, I'll be very, very impressed because he's been flirting with that wall. And sometimes that's what you got to do, though, to make speed, is get right up close to it and take that chance and opportunity. And right now you're seeing a lot of racing going on right in front of them.
This group is waiting for a wreck. I've been watching Alan Swan. And there they go. It's cold. The brake straighten it out. Johnny Brown. Gonna be Johnny Bobby Brown locking down the tires, straightening out the car. No collected other drivers. But man, as you've seen the wear and tear at this point, just overheated tires with that big lockup. But man, Zach, that grouping was just waiting for a wreck. And what should have been a caution, somehow we stay green.
He did exactly what you said, Sam. He locked it down and got that thing straight and got it back going after that. And that was a great job by him. The tires were so overheated that he almost wrecked out a definitely still feeling those conditions of those tires, but great job by Johnny. That could have easily been another yellow flag, but a little contact from the 55 there. James DuBose up into the rear bumper. That's not going to help that 06's position of keeping the car straight.
I mean, we were 52 laps in. Yes, we had a caution early in the run that kind of allowed these tires to last a little bit longer, but you're at the point where you're at whatever mercy you've done to your tires at this point. If you've been aggressive, you are just holding on. Every time you enter the corner and off the exit, you're putting in throttle and hoping you're not heading to the wall or heading into another driver. And you gotta love the fact that 55 making some contact, and Bobby Brown holds steady as we continue on as Mike Fahey, he holds steady. It's now fallen almost 2 seconds, the difference between himself and second place runner of Nicholas, as well as seeing this 97 join the mix for that battle for second place. But Zach, I mean, if you're the leader at this point, you've made it to lap 54. Does it just go as long as these tires allow you, or do you feel like there's a number as a leader that you kind of are hoping to make?
Yeah, I think if he can make it to 65, I think that's the perfect window to do it, because that does set that 3-stop strategy up, and I think that's just going to be the best window of trying to be the quickest route of finishing this race. I think that's a little bit quicker than that 4-stop, and he's got, like you said, a 2-second lead, and he's had some lap times that fell off, but like last time by, I think he kind of cleaned it up a little bit and was right in the realm of what a lot of the drivers were running around him. Really the only driver, in my opinion, who's making up major ground to him, is driver we're kind of seeing right there in the background and here, the 92's picture, that's the 88 Drew Blaze. He is, again, 24 flats, and sometimes down into the 23s, the only driver really doing that. So he has definitely been able to keep really good pace, and if anything, the next 10-15 laps, he should be continuing to gain here before this pit sequence starts to happen.
And first driver into pit road that is not based off of hitting the wall and you're heavily damaged is going to be Jacob D. Booth. I think that's a great call for the 19 machine, who has been having their own woes so far this evening. And it's into pit road to get service done. And Drew Blaze, I mean, he has been catching up and making passes, trying to get by everyone as efficiently as possible. There's going to be Ken Couch on the outside, the 08. Going to get out of the way and allow the 88 to blast on by. Also, the battle for second has been a good one to watch, as we're getting a good shot of the crowd there in the grandstands, as everything's topsy-turvy here tonight, from what the league's been dealing with all the different servers, to all of our camera issues and graphic issues. We're hoping things just fix themselves on their own, but if we really have any big problems that pop up later on, well, we might have to step away again, but we continue to race on. And I'm curious for Mike Fahey, he was starting to close in on the tail end of this lead pack, and he's starting to get to a point where that lap traffic will be a factor to watch out for. And he's around the group that we're all getting on top of one another, so this 45 has now entered the danger zone.
He is definitely in the danger zone, so to say, Sam. Yeah, because I mean, Dover, one of those tracks where things can go left, right, or really anywhere. It's really one of those tracks that when a wreck happens, it's hard to miss it. So, and you also got, Caden Watts right here in front of him, who's blinking a little bit. This could get a little hairy here for Fahey. And I think really the big thing for him, 2-second lead, he needs to just take his time through here. Nothing too crazy, and he should come out here still with the lead if he's just able to, pick these guys off one by one and not take any major risk, because tonight he is having such a fantastic race that 45's got to have that in the mind.
And you do not want to bring out a caution, because this could ignite a chance for Drew Blaze again in the mix. Also going to be Austin Meese to have a chance to get into this fight, and both look quick. At least for Austin Meese, the lap times have not been super quick, but the reason why, he's attempting passes and just isn't finding the grip on the inside to attempt to get by the 24. Anytime that he really sees an opportunity to go for a pass, he just gets held up with great defensive moves by the 24 machine, but lingering behind and quickly closing. It's that 88 machine ablaze, and Meese can sense that this 97 needs to go now.
That he does. He really needs to start thinking about how he can get going, because that 88 is flying right now. He is really making up a lot of time. He was 6.5 seconds at one point when he got to 6th, Oh, wow, our leader just had two guys. I'm telling you, our leader just went
he is
through
slicing.
a maze.
He is
Wow.
slicing through these cars, and it is the worst time to do so because tires are going away. James Dubose, who luckily the 45 got by, just lost his rear tire. Excuse me, actually, that was Alan Swan who had that trouble. Also, 7th place runner of Goodpaster, he's got a blown tire. Drivers are starting to get into issues, and it's on lap 64.
Yeah, and that's right at the edge of the window of trying to make it. And remember, we had caution laps at the very beginning of this race to kind of help those drivers. Now, I will say, the tire wear is going to be the worst. It's going to be all night on this first run when this rubber gets laid down like it has here through these green flag runs. It will help that tire wear case for these next runs. So it should get a little bit better for these drivers, but it's not going to be night and day difference. They're still going to have to manage their stuff and do very, very well. As right now, we're watching Goodpaster here running in the 7th spot, about 4 seconds back off of Justin Johnson.
He's still out there on a blown tire. I mean, the required damage flag is on the one machine, so they have to go to pit road at some point here in the next couple of laps. I mean, Zach, I'm curious for this one, if because he's like, okay, well, I need to get to my number, continues to stay out, but if you have a blown tire, will you get black flagged and penalized by not pitting and just continuing to run lap after lap?
Yeah, you will get disqualified. So, yeah, if I was him, I would be getting in quickly because those required damage flags are nothing to play around. It's usually about 3 laps, and I wouldn't be surprised if next time around, if he doesn't come this time here, that he sees some issue here from the scoring station. But we'll see. He continues on, and yeah, that's definitely a major questionable call because he's way off the pace. You can just see how much the lap time has fallen, and yeah, black flag there, Sam. He's going to be DQ'd.
Black flag there, but also trouble for our leader. Mike Fahey is slow to the outside. He's been caught. He's been passed from the lead back to 5th. The 45 might be having troubles with tires. There's no required damage flag given, and Goodpaster has been disqualified. He's now finally heading to pit road, but it's already done and dusted for his race, and Mike Fahey is fading backwards. He's trying to get down to pit road, and he's gonna miss pit entry. It's gone upside down for himself as more drivers up front starting to have issues. The 24, the 97, 88, also the 92. Everyone's on top of each other up front.
Goodyear tires at a premium right now for everybody. All these drivers really want to get to pit road probably when they can here, but you want to go as long as you possibly can also here if you can make it, because you want to have that opportunity to have shorter runs on the rest of this race. But right now, Mies takes the lead. Now the Don Francesco has the 88 of Drew Blaze right behind him, who's going to make the pass. Paul Boomershine not too far behind these guys. This race is really opened up because Fahey there finally on the pit road. That was a huge loss for him, Sam. And what I've seen, some drivers losing the right front, some drivers losing the right rear. That was definitely a right rear for Fahey there because he just lost all rear stability.
It just disappeared in an instant. The disqualification of Jeffrey Goodpaster, also a shocker to see, as that driver just continuously stayed out, never went into pit road to get new tires, and ultimately cost that their night is over. As the rest of the field continues to race on, that leaves us with 19 still out on track. As more drivers now facing into pit road. Johnny Bobby Brown now heading into pit road to get service done. Same for Couch. And up front, still waiting on Mies, Blaze, and also going to be Don Francesco. When will the 24 decide to head into pit road, or have they saved enough, even with their aggressive racing they've had for the last 20 to 30 laps?
Could be the great question. Oh no, Drew Blaze drops due to packet loss.
The driver who looked like the favorite is gone. Blaze is out of here. Oh my goodness, a night that just continues. Is it a full moon? Because this is insane. Another driver that was a favorite out of this thing. Clary's not here. Blaze is not here. Austin Mies in the 97 has to capitalize here tonight. All your competition is gone. The 97 has to win, but still a little bit under 200 laps to go here tonight.
Mind-blowing scenes. Yeah, he's reconnected, but man, the loss of all the laps there for Drew Blaze is going to be a heartbreaker for him when he gets connected back in here. But Austin Mies leads the way. Don Francesco about a second and a half back, another second and a half back to Paul Boomershine, and then Justin Johnson. I mean, look at the job he's done all night here so far. Up to 4th. He's looking to maybe the top 5 when it's all said and done here tonight.
Dwayne Johnson trying to recover. Like I said, missed the last 2 races, trying to make the surge back into a championship hunt. It is a big gap, but a good run here tonight could really try to just carve in those mistakes, as Blaze is now 3 laps down, trying to get back to the server as quickly as possible, but it is just ballooned out to this is, we might be, but when this pit cycle is concluded, we might be down to just 10 drivers after the first 70 plus laps are over on the lead lap, as Blaze has finally gotten into the server.
That he has. Blaze back in, and oh man, this night has been so wild. We don't even know what's ahead here for us, because we're not even nowhere near halfway yet. So this is just heating up. Stay around, folks, because it could be any of these drivers who are having issues. I mean, at one point, Mike Fahey was dominating this race. He's 2 laps down right now in 10th, while others have yet to make their pit stops. They're going to have a big advantage on him on tires when we get later into this race.
Who's going to stay out? Who can even stay out a little bit longer, as drivers that have already made their pit stops? Mike Fahey up to 10th, but there's still 10 drivers that need to pit. Kenneth Blackburn back in 11th still needs to pit. Everyone else in the top 9 have to make one more pit stop. And see the 24 just wiggling their way around. I mean, Zach DiFrancesco just put down a 25.1 second lap time. That is almost 3 seconds slower than his best time. It slams the wall.
And what tells me is he's got a tire coming down here soon. It's not down fully yet, but when you see that drop into the 25-second range, that is where normally you start to see the tire failures. And I really think, yeah, you're going to see him here. He's dropping low. He's got to get that car loaded up here nice and good to get it into pit road, and luckily he will. But, yeah, right here on lap 81 coming to pit road. And what's interesting, too, Sam, for me is Austin Mees is out here still completing laps. If you can go past that 87 marker, you could technically make this a 2-stop race. Now, that would be a huge difference compared to a lot of what other people are doing. But, man, this is what I love about Dover sometimes. It really opens up the door for these strategies of which strategy is the fastest, a 3-stop, a 2-stop, or a 4-stop.
And who can avoid the damage as into pit road will be the 24. And you can see behind him, when the 24 was heading into their box, the 85 of Alan Swan slamming the wall about 4 laps ago and gaining some required damage after serving and getting their pit stops done. 85 taken off from pit road, same as the 24, but if you're Swan, that is going to be at least 4 to 5 laps down after grabbing some required damage. Over the radio, the 97's asking for drivers to get by him, because it sounds like pit road might be calling here shortly. But Zach, it is still every lap. This feels like Bristol with how lap cars are just swamping some drivers.
It really does almost feel like a Bristol with the way like the closing rate and all that happens here. So it's, you know, in my opinion, a bigger Bristol with the way it races with the concrete. So very, very similar conditions, but we'll see what Austin Mees does. Looks like he's going to get to the bottom here. And we'll see. Maybe that lap time right there, 25.093. That was about 6 minutes slower than anything he's ran so far. We're interested to see if he can pick the pace back down. So 24.70 right there. We'll see if he can continue on, but yeah, this is getting in the range of where you almost do want to start thinking about making that pit stop here for the time being.
Caden Watson to pit road for the 30 machine. Also going to be seeing Eric Dillingham, Paul Bloomershine into pit road. And we're left with about 5 to 6 drivers that still need to make their first pit stop of the night. This could be their first of 3, could be their first of 2. Some other drivers have already made their first of 4 pit stops of this evening. And 86 laps in. It's certainly still the early goings of tonight's race, but Zach, already 4 drivers out of this thing. Was not what I was expecting in the first 85 laps of this race. So here we go now. Justin Johnson now going to be heading into pit road for the 10 machine. Also Meese into pit road. In front of them, anyone else sticking a little bit further to stay on another lap, but it will be. It's Corbin Reach who's going to be stinging out there. 21. This is your chance. Get a lap led. Now, how much further can the Red Bull machine stay out?
That's going to be the question, because, you know, with the way the caution laps played out, just getting to 86, in my opinion, isn't the optimal strategy if you're going to be doing a 2-stop. I would say at least with the caution laps, want to get somewhere around 90 just to give you a couple laps buffer there for those other runs and just help you out in those situations. But we'll see how much farther this 21 can continue on. Right now, he'll be coming by this next time here to complete lap 88. And I think right here low on the back straightaway, that's the indication he's coming to pit road.
Into pit road for the 21 as well as for the 3 of Chris Lannis, who's got to lock up right in front of the 21, right at pit entry. You got to get around. And they both make it in. And a little bit of nerve-wracking there, but trouble for Justin Johnson in the 10 machine. Black flag, unsafe pit exit, look to be caught speeding off of pit road. Zach, he's got to go back in, and this could be a hold.
Yeah, such an easy pit road to speed. Like I said, you're going so fast around here. That 35 just feels like you're crawling. And yeah, I went back and looked at it. He hit 38 mile an hour there a few times for a little bit, and that just was enough to flag him there for speed no pit road. So going from running in the top 5, now going to be well outside that, and going to have to be trying to recover from this mistake.
But with all the pit entries, all the troubles, the early pit stop for Mike Fahey, maybe it's not the right strategy on winning here tonight with the fact that he couldn't stretch the tires out as long as some others. But he has the lead with a 6-second gap. And now the question is, how long can he stay out there? 90 laps already completed. And I think that's going to be a good sign for us. Let's step away. Let's recoup. This has been a wild start to the evening after having to start delayed after 3 different sessions had to be made. We are here and ready for more racing action. We're going to go full screen commercial break. When we come back, more racing action of the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing Series here from Dover. We'll be back right after this with more racing action. that gave us time to work on our cameras, so hopefully we're fixed up. The racing has cleaned up as well, as the field has been, luckily not a lot of drivers have hit the wall since we had our pit stop, as our first clean green pit stops have been completed. But now is the question of who pits next. We got a good cluster of about 5 to 6 drivers. They're gonna have to be forced to pit road in the next 15 to 20 laps. The question is, how much further can they push these tires? That first run, a little bit deceiving, as some drivers were able to go about 60 laps. The reason why it was deceiving is because we had about 4 to 5 laps of cautions that allowed the field to save a little bit of rubber, a little bit further they can go. This is your true test. How much did you learn? How much have you changed? And how well can Mike Fahey hold on? Because he is under threat right now as the 45. He's going to have that of Don Francesco right on the back bumper, as well as Austin Meese right behind him. Old tires versus new. It's a 10-lap difference between the 45 to the 24, and then it's another 10-lap difference to the 24 to the 97. Whose tires will allow him to make the passes? They're also closing it on the challengers ahead of them, as contact was made off the exit turn 2. Zach, this is the racing we wanted. It's the battle for the lead, and we got 3 drivers right on top of each other.
This is a great little battle here. As you're going to see Mees, he really wants to get by these guys with that fresher tires. Same for Don Francesco when it comes to Fahey. He's like, man, I need to get going so I can try to keep it with this 97 somehow, but it's going to be tough to do right here at the pass side by side like this. Really nowhere to go for Austin Mees. He's just got to play, I think, patient, because he's got the...
that car. And they got to split them. Where do you go? And Fahey gets stuck on the outside. One blocks another. And the 85, somehow no caution is made. But one of the scariest places you could put yourself as a lap car is right in the middle of a battle for the lead. And it all goes to Don Francesco, who takes that advantage and pulls away.
What a move there for Nicholas. He loved that, because the move that lap car pulled there really allowed him to get that pass done. Now we'll see, can Mees have the tires to get past Fahey, or will Fahey fight hard here and try to keep him by, or will he just let him go to not lose too much time? And it looks like the tires too much there, as the 97 is able to power by. And Mees, he's loving this right now. If this stays green, he's in position possibly for his second win of the season, and that would be a huge statement. His old Fahey there in front of the lap car of the 3, he's sliding big.
Going back and forth, where are your tires going to be at? Fahey's been out there for 39 laps on this set of tires, and it's not just a simple, oh, I've been running well. This 45 was putting down burners to make sure that he could build up a gap, to hope that he wouldn't get caught. But he's been caught, he's been passed, and now your strategy is showing. The drivers that were able to push their tires further are now being rewarded. But the battle for the lead is back on the 24. Gotta be careful, as Meese is right there, right behind them, the 97, the 24, right as they're running down and trying to catch up to 6th and 5th place runners. I mean, we might be down to just 3 guys racing for this finish at the end, as also Boomershine is trying to find his way to catch up to this group, as he's on a much better tire stint compared to the drivers ahead, but he's about 3 seconds back from our leaders right now.
It's all going up right now, man. This is what it's all about. Just the strategy of Dover can really swap things around. It's played a really interesting hand here tonight. I mean, look at even Drew Blaze. He's in 5th after disconnecting. Like, that is amazing not only to see for him, but he's able to, he could possibly salvage something out of this, because at one point he was going to be looking to be like the car to beat, but I think it's just going to be too much to come back from after that.
Bobby Brown going to go low, trying to get out of some drivers, but there's Blaze right in front of Dillingham. Dillingham's been right here putting the pressure for about 15, almost 20 laps between these two, but here we go. Now it's going to be 5th and 6th. Where do you want to place yourself? Because the leaders are knocking on the door. You're fighting to stay on the lead lap, while the leaders are fighting for who can take the top spot. Meese, Dan Francesco, who will take the position, as Dillingham and Blaze are both having their own run, and it's the 24. Big wiggle to the inside, defensive move, but Meese has got the tires. Is he willing to risk it all here off the exit turn number 2? He will. Throttle up, stay away from the wall, and we're side by side for the lead heading into 3.
What a move from Austin Mees there around the outside, and That's tough to do. That is a risky position to put yourself in. You saw the door open up with the 24 slide off of 4 last time, and he's able to get the job done. Austin Mees back to the point, and I think it's going to be tough to run that 97 down with the tire advantage he has and the strategy he's got going so far. He's now going to take control of this race.
The big thing that you can take, you're Mike Fakey as well, looking back at Boomer Shine. If you're just being patient, the way that our front two are racing one another, I mean, their tires might be toast here in the next about 10, 15 laps. Might give you an advantage or a chance to fight back on these positions, but also lap cars. They're holding up everybody. That's going to be Booth in the 19 on the outside. That's holding back our leaders. And here we go, back to lap traffic. That's just been the make or break moment of who can keep the lead heading into pit road when this pit cycle begins again in the next 15 laps.
It's going to be definitely an interesting situation. There is Mees closing up, but there's Fahey's going to go around the lap car to the 3, who's been kind of around for here the majority of this run, trying to just manage his stuff here, but we'll see how he lasts. As Paul Boomershine, of course, about a second and a half back on fresher tires, but just has been kind of matching lap times when it comes to Fahey here. So we'll see how, as the run shapes out, will Fahey be able to recover from that blown tire from the last run, or will he be able to, see the same issues pop up right before pit road again?
That's 3 wide, a pass being made. Watts on the outside. Gotta be careful. Don't want to be making contact there as the lap cars having their fun. That is for position that was going on between the 3 and the 30 for 11th place. And it's going to be seeing the 3 machine taking the advantage to get by Watts. And now more drivers getting into the mix here. As, I mean, Zach, watching this field, you would think that we're in a pack of 30 drivers out on track. There's only 19 that are on track at this current time, but the tire difference, everyone just is getting clogged up in traffic jams that keep on making these yo-yo of you're free from away from traffic for maybe a lap or 2, and then you're right back in the thick of things.
It's really interesting to see how all the cars have ended up on the same side of the track, really. It's kind of amounted to this style of racing right here that we're getting, but it's been excellent for us to watch up here in the booth, and I think you're going to have that continue on tonight as the strategies have just been all over the place. With so many different strategies going on, you're going to get this type of racing where it's side by side by side all throughout the field. The drivers are passing one another with fresher and older tires.
Trouble happening for one of the drivers, 1 lap down, actually 3 laps down. That's Austin Grewell, who's going to be just losing time after running on the outside. Another driver who's also having trouble is another one of those green machines, Kenneth Blackburn, starting to fade, 4 laps down. And about to be caught by the 10 of Justin Johnson, who, Zach, I mean, a heartbreaking, just 1 pit stop, and your race went from challenging for a top 5, maybe in a top 3, to now 4 laps down, lingering in 16th. Johnson's got a lot of work to go, and he needs some cautions to get back in the mix.
He's going to need a lot of help there for that, for sure, Sam. And yeah, that's just a heartbreaker because he had such a good run going, really, really good run going, and just that one mistake, man, that's all that can happen sometimes. You just make that simple mistake of a little bit extra speed on the exit pit road, and oh no! Right on board, a huge hit to the inside wall. That's going to be major damage to that left side of that car.
Just getting loose for 1 second, trying to stay off the wall, and then slamming the inside one. That's happened a couple of times here tonight, and another victim's grab as Johnson will go low. It looks like pit road is calling for the 10 machine, as well for the 44, who is slow and has no front bumper. Matthew Hobbs, major contact for himself.
His night's going to come to there possibly after a big incident there, and we'll see how it all shook out. Is off at the 2. Looks like he's going to lose the rear end of that race car, man, and into that inside wall. We see that so many times here at Dover, just off of 2 into the inside wall.
And now going to be heading into pit road, both for the 44 as well as the 10 machine. Here's another look at it. Trying to get by Ruel was the 44 of Hobbs, and just a hard collision, loses the front bumper. Both sides of the tires are kinked in, and that's a sign of a race day done. And on top of that, Justin Johnson's day being sent to pit road. That's going to be leaving us with just 17 drivers now out on track, and our leaders, they're back to where they've been for the last, I would say, 20 laps. It's Meese following the tire tracks ablaze, as well as Dillingham. who are fighting for their life to stay on the lead lap. Drew Blaze, he wants the caution badly, but the way that these tires in this run is going down, the 89, the 88, they are in a losing battle. At some point, you expect the leaders to pounce for a pass, but how long are you willing to fight for this lead lap position?
That's the big question for sure for Austin Lees, is how long are these drivers going to fight? And for him, I think he's just kind of taking his time, knowing the position he's in. I mean, he's got Don Francesco right behind him, who is, only on 6-lap quarter tires, but still, Don Francesco had those issues with the tires on that last run. If I'm Austin Lees, I'm liking the position I'm in compared to that 24. But right now, just behind these two lappers, or these two lappers, right on the tail, or sorry, these two cars on the tail end of the lead lap, and it's just really kind of important for the 97 to get the job done, but at the same time, no reason to rush it here and make mistakes, because we've seen all night, you get rushed, the mistakes just pop up.
They certainly do. They just pile on like a snowball running down the hill. It just gets larger and larger, and we've seen drivers already tonight. Just one mistake just implodes your evening. Dillingham gonna go a lap down. He'll be the first one to lap down. Ain't out a caution to happen at this current moment. He'll get the lucky dog pass. And we'll be back to 6 drivers on the lead lap. But Blaze trying to scoot his way forward to make sure it stays 5 drivers on the lead lap. And Zach, we talked about the fact of how the track's going to evolve. I mean, look at this track state. 131 laps in. We're at the halfway marker, and we're already seeing just majority of the inside lane is just blackened out with all the rubber that's been placed throughout the corners, and that outside row isn't safe either with all the marbles that have been pushed up there.
Oh yeah, if you get up in the gray, good luck. You're on little mini bowling balls, or I guess you could say just little tiny balls on the outside there, because it is a pretty much disaster if you get up there into that gray stuff. So cannot do that. Got to stay right here in the rubber part of the racetrack, but it's hard to do here when Dover, like you said, it's the morning time, so it's only heating up and the grip level is just shifting. And when that sun starts to come out and beam on that rubber, it really starts to bring the oils out, and that's when you start to see the slickness of the track start to become an issue. And I think these drivers are definitely feeling those conditions start to warm up a little bit when it comes to that track temp. Air temp pretty much the same as we started out with 69, Sam, but that track temp has gone up a slight bit.
It has gone up, started around 70 right before the race started, now up to 80, so 10 degrees change for these drivers, and they really didn't get any practice into this run. It was almost an immediate, everyone's in here, we're into the race session because of all the server issues, meaning they have had to step up and evolve with the track immediately, and if you made one misstep, your race is practically over. Speaking of missteps, a few drivers have had them into pit road for a few. The 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown, who's gotten into the wall a couple of times, looks to be blown tire. On top of that, got into the outside wall and is going to be finding themselves getting some damage and in pit road, getting that service done. Same for Austin Gruel, having some issues. Here's our race report. We do have one caution that was thrown, but because of our graphics having errors, we missed out on having that one caution, but we've been clean and green since then, and I think that's the most important thing for this field. We've been green, even with all the chaos, and already losing 4 drivers, now up to 5 at this current moment.
Yeah, it really has been a ton of chaos, but completely clean when it comes to yellow flags almost. So it is opposite of what you normally see when you have chaos, but it's been a lot of one-car incidents, just damaging that car and taking themselves out of the race, and that can be a tough pill to swallow for some drivers, because sometimes you don't like getting involved in other people's mess, but at least you have them to put a little bit of the blame on. When you make that mistake yourself, you got to sit there for a week and really just say, man, I made a huge mistake that took me out of the potential good finish, especially when you see others out here having similar mistakes. If you just clean that up, you would probably have a decent finish.
Absolutely. As we were running on board with Johnny Bobby Brown, who did get the service done, was in pit road for 44 seconds and is now back out on track, putting down some good times for himself. Other drivers that are still in pit road, Matthew Hobbs, as we saw his horrific collision to the inside wall, the 44 getting repairs done and with required damage. We're still waiting for our top 13. Another pit stop is looming for all of them. This is going to be their second pit stop for majority of the field. The question is, will it be their final one of the night? Or do they have to make 2 more? Counting the one that they take coming up, and then an extra one after that. I think that's going to be the fun of this evening. Is seeing a few drivers slow on the outside getting past, is riding on board watching Austin Gruel just to survive at this moment. But Zach, I mean, the tire talking points, the fuel talking points, I feel like fuel's not really the point at all. It's all about when you decide to take that final set of tires and try to take it to the end of this race.
That's very true, Sam. And we're getting in that range. You're looking at Fahey right here. He's racing Dillingham, who's getting past him, who Dillingham in that 6th place position, 1 lap down. Fahey, though, 70 laps on the tire, so doing a little better than that first run and is able to stretch out a little longer here. So we'll see if he can manage to keep the tires underneath him a little bit longer here for a better positioning on this next stop.
You know, talk about learning lessons. I think a lot of drivers are starting to learn. Okay, what did I need to change from that first run to the second one? Also, with the gaps that we have, you're not really seeing these clusters as close as some of these drivers were in that initial takeoff and the 2 restarts. Given a chance to save their tires just a little bit better as Blaze, big slide for himself, going to the inside. And the 97 of East gets to the outer groove of the 88. And just like that, the stay on the lead lap run for Blaze is over. And now we're down to just 4 drivers on the lead lap.
Wild scenes here from Dover. And, you know, the other thing that's interesting right here with how this is going to shake out is you got the top 3 still right on top of each other. Even though the tire differences are there, they've been able to stick right together. And you see also Justin Johnson, a little fresher tires after coming out and getting that work done on the car. He's back out there. But, man, this is shaping up to be an interesting race. And Fahey lost a lot of time from blowing that tire last time. If he can not blow a tire and not lose that time, he is still right in the mix to win this race with how close he's been able to stay, even pitting that much earlier and blowing the tire.
A little bit of a scare there off the exit of turn number 2 as Blackburn, as well as the 89 of Dillingham, making contact as Blackburn getting a little bit loose off the exit of the corner, overcorrects right into the 89. They continue to race on, but Dillingham not too happy about that contact as Don Francesco just continues to ride. But you got to give credit to Fahey. The fact that he has been able to lose, I mean, he was down almost a second and a half to these top 2 that just pulled away into their own race, able to run them down on this old tires. And Don Francesco, got to be careful. Don't want to just throw your own race away, as now the 45 to the outside. Out there on 75 lap old tires, you don't want to be making an outside pass like that, but that's a beautiful move by the 45.
Such a great move, and he's really making up for mistakes in that first run, man. That's great for Fahey, who dominated the first run, had that issue there late, and I think he's learned from it. Now up back in the second, and hey, if anything, if he can stay close, this is going to make that last run of the race very interesting.
With all the drivers being pushed around, some losing time, some gain, sound the battle for 5th is about to be back on, with the fact of seeing Dillingham and Blaze going with their back and forth, and who was willing to give up positions sooner than others, as our top 3 continue to battle on. The one driver that's in our top 10 that's kind of feeling all on his own is going to be this 92 of Paul Boomershine. The drivers behind him are battling, the drivers ahead of him are battling, and he's just sitting there in 4th, wondering who's going to be his challenger, as he's got lap cars in front and behind. Currently, they're on better tires. And it's just a waiting game of when do you want to make these stops, as a lot of the field able to push their tires over 60 laps. Zach, this is so impressive to see. I wasn't expecting a lot of drivers to have tire issues 55 laps into a run. We've seen a couple have to be forced into pit road sooner than they wanted, but majority of the field have done a great job extending on this second stint.
They really have. Everybody's done a better job. And like I said, when that rubber lays down, you see how black this racetrack's got? Well, that protects the tires that much more. You know, when you don't have that concrete surface, you know, just grading the tire, you have more of that, you know, rubber just laying on top, just matting to the tire. It can really help the tire wear for that second, third, fourth run. So I think that's what we're seeing here for the case for a lot of these guys, is just a little bit better situation for the track state. And right now, everybody's taking advantage of it to try to make their runs here a little bit longer.
Couple of drivers over the radio. Pit stops about to be underway, and Mike Fahey is the first of our top 4. And no surprise, At 45, out there for over 80 laps on this set of tires. Great job on his part. Drew Blaze also going to be following in suit. And the 55 of James going to be Dubois. It's going to be getting service done. But the 55 caught speeding on entry. That's a hold penalty for the 55 machine.
So easy to do. Again, 35-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit here is so slow compared to the speed you're doing out on the racetrack. Upwards of 160 mile an hour on entry or corners. So it is easy to do. We've seen it bite a few people here tonight, as James DeBose will have to take that hold here on pit road. And there you go, Fahey off the pit road for this time, and done a great job this second run.
We'll stretch the tires out, the fuel out much longer than a lot we're expecting. And he will continue on, staying ahead of that 88. Drew Blaze, we'll see how quick Blaze wants to take off and go here. As drivers ahead, battling for now currently would be for 5th place. That is Howard Crow and Corbin Reich that are having a close battle for position, because the 24 of Nicholas Don Francesco has kind of fallen away. He's over 2.5 seconds back from Meese, and this is kind of a shock. But here's the 33-21 battle for 5th place currently. Both 1 lap down. And after caution came out, really could salvage their evening, but you got to give credit to a lot of this field just surviving the night. I know for Harold Crow, there's been a lot of conversations over the radio of drivers trying to give notification of where to pass drivers if I'm heading into pit road. The 33's radio is completely broken. It's just static when he presses the button, and a lot of drivers get a little bit confused on where the 33's actions might be with this close battle that's happening. You better hope the communication get cleared up before they have to get over the radio again.
Yeah, bad communication and issues like that can definitely cause issues when coming to pit road. So don't want to see any issues there for these drivers, but we'll see how Harold, Corbin, and Mike can navigate this as Fahey comes up on the fresh tires. He's going to want to get around these guys very quickly here in the next few corners.
He is going to be trying to blast on by. There's going to be the 92 Boomer Shine, trying to find a way to get through as quickly as possible. As again, this is the closest battle for position between the 33 and 21. The 92 is on the lead lap, and just trying to find a way to get by cleanly. And then also behind them is going to be the 94. That's Austin Gruel, who's going to be just using some fresh rubber to get by and try to make it to the end of this race. See Alan Swan leaving pit road. They've been having a rough evening themselves, as trouble heading into leaving pit road, That's the 30 of Caden Watts, going to be having speeding problems. Exiting the pit road right back in is going to be the 30.
Again, showing up here tonight. Again, the penalties on pit road have been an issue, and it's a common sign here for Dover. As we check in on these drivers right here, putting these laps down, Sam, I'm interested to see, when does Meese decide to come down? That is going to be huge, because the same for Don Francesco. They went upwards of 80 laps that last run. We'll see if they're able to do it this run, or what's the strategy play here, because I don't think the 2-stop is going to be available to these guys with them pitting right at 86 with those caution laps. Don't know if that's going to be in the same ballpark, but we'll see if they're able to stretch it that far.
I mean, looking at the drivers that are going to be attempting that type of a call, the 21 of Corbin Wright will be attempting it, but he's about to be passed by Fahey, which Fahey being about 6 seconds back. I mean, this is going to be a tough one for the 21, who is going to be attempting again. Still can stay off there for another 10 more laps, and then has to stretch it out another further than that is Reich. And also Crow back and forth. The 33 puts a massive block on the 21, and that just threw away all the momentum and almost threw away the race for Reich in a quick second.
Yeah, quickly put him up in those marbles, and that could have been disaster. Luckily, he keeps it all gathered, and now Swan going to try to make the pass there, but I think Corbin going to just try to maybe salvage it after that and get the tires cleaned back up after that case of, going up into the marbles, so to say.
I mean, this late into a run, you're not expecting big blocks like that by the 33. I get you're racing for position, but that was a wild one of trying to make the late move to hold back the 21. Again, we're still learning these drivers, their tendencies, and that's a big one to learn, that a driver's willing to block this late into a run, as we're on lap 164. And into pit road's going to be the 24 of Don Francesco, who had just had his tire blow right before he went into pit road. With his lap times falling away, I'm not surprised that he was forced into pit road, as the 24 was hoping to go a little bit further. Not going to be the case. Meese continues to stay out. Boomershine continues to stay out. That is big rewards for the both of them if they continue to put lap after lap down.
That is very, very true, Sam. Yeah, it's going to be a huge reward for them for sure, but we'll see how it shakes out as drivers all over the place trying to hang on these cars. Look at this Drew Blaze onto the bottom 3 wide, corner right, almost up in the Boomershine. Now Fahey going to come through in the fresher tires. You can just see all the different strategies, all the different speed levels getting carried around this racetrack.
I mean, Blaze sent it, forcing it 3 wide, went out into the apron, and still made it stick. Luckily cleared that group before his car just shifted all the way up on apex to the outer lane. Just seeing all the drivers, fresh tires versus old, and here's that yo-yo effect where everyone was spaced out. You're racing your own competition. Now you got fresh tires, old tires, all against each other. Into pit road's going to be Kenneth Blackburn. Still waiting on our top 4 to make their call into pit road, as Boomershine, for the first time really in this run, now going to be seeing some issues and troubles behind. It's the 21 of Reich who smashes the inside wall for the 21 into the outside wall, and he might not make it to pit road. He has broke the front wheel. He continues to stay in that outside wall. A caution is almost absolute with how slow he is and on track. He's trying to get down to the inside. The field is creaming through. And Zach, somehow we're still green, but this 21 is going to be a troublesome mess if the rest of the field can't get by him.
This is going to be sketchy down here into this corner. Yeah, the car's not going to turn. Yeah, look, he's having issues. He's trying his best. Corbin is doing really an excellent job. Oh, and he's going to stop, but he gets it reset. No caution.
No caution. We stay green, and the driver that was trying to stretch the tires out as long as possible, it is thrown away. And Reich went from a top 5 almost absolute chance to now might finish outside of the top 15 with the damage that he just accrued there. Oh my goodness, what a moment that was.
It is crazy scenes here from Dover, man. It is a lot of drivers having issues, and everybody just trying to salvage their way through the night. Is our leader, Austin Mees. He's coming to pit road.
He's into pit road. Fahey moving up into 3rd. And the 45 putting down burner lap after burner lap, and now going to be trying to make all the passes to get into the lead position. But Austin is just seeing his competition fall away. But Boomershine, who was taking it easy, how much further can the 92 go? They're about on 86 laps on this set of tires. You got to give credit to Austin on the fact that he entered pit road without a blown tire. He just hit his mark that he felt like, okay, now we got to head into pit road and get it served. It was a beautiful call by the 97, who this should still keep him close into the lead position and fight for this lead spot.
Yeah, we'll see exactly where Fahey comes out relative to him. Definitely to see. I mean, right now, wow, Fahey actually upwards of already almost 12, 15 seconds ahead of him. So that undercut, a huge benefit, but we'll see the 97 claw that lap time back.
They're expecting at least one more pit stop here tonight for majority of the field. As Boomershine now going to be heading into pit road for the 92. Now we into pit road also is Dillingham, so that's going to be the whole entire field. Service going to be grabbed and to go for all of them. And Reich under this stint going to be joining Good Pasture, Windsor, Clary as well as Idaluca. Most likely calling it a night here this evening. And for us, with this pit cycle concluded, we will be finding ourselves into a commercial break. You've been watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Race 7 at Dover. And it's Mike Fahey leading the way with Meese, Don Francesco, Blaze, and Boomershine, your top 5. When we come back, expecting one more pit stop, maybe 2. We'll find out after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, and our second caution of the day is out. Trouble striking for a few of our drivers inside of the top 10. It's the 33. That's going to be Harold Crow, as well as the 3. Oh no, trouble strikes. And caution flag reigns. Multiple drivers with required damage and sent to pit road. Chris Lonis, as well as the 33, getting involved. And there's the aftermath. But here's going to be the buildup. 33 machine coming out of the exit of the corner of turn 4. Seeing third place runner Francesco getting through. And 3 goes high, giving space for the 24. 33 going to be side by side off the exit turn number 2. And just getting into one another. I don't know if that was a netcode incident, if they just naturally came through. The 55 getting a nice piece of it as well. And that is going to be a potentially race ender for 3 drivers. Required damage given out for the 3 of Lannis, as well as going to be for the 55 of DeBose and Crow. All required damage flags forced to pit road. Here's going to be the ride along with 55 off the exit turn number 2. And just contact and nowhere to go. Trouble made for those drivers. Wild evening. Wild evening there. As we're taking another look at it, we're going to, the positives of us playing a virtual game is there was netcode, but the 33 looked to be overcorrecting a little bit high. But netcode, the ultimate reason on why both of those drivers got into one another, and then the 55, I mean, there's nowhere to really go. Contact made, but we're back after commercial break, and now a caution, and now most of the field expected to hit pit road, and this is a window where everyone can make it to the end. The problem, we only had 5 drivers on the lead lap. This is a problem for 3 of our top 5 drivers, because Drew Blaze, with all of his aggressive hard racing, burning up his tires, was banking on a caution. He got it. The 88 is on the lead lap. And that is 5 drivers that will be hunting for a victory here tonight, being Mike Vahey, Austin Meese, Dan Francesco, as well as Blaze and Boomershine. Those are your 5 on the lead lap. Rest of the field going to be multiple laps down. And I'm hoping they can make it to the end of this race clean and green. For us up in the booth, my name is Sam Dyer. Zach Hall, who's usually with me, had to step away as he was dealing with some personal issues and had to kind of move away. We hate to see it. Robert Moyer Jr. Rolling in the booth, running production with us. We might pull him in with comms at some point. But this evening, second caution of the day. And this one, certainly going to be a shocker, as Harold Crow in the 33, required damage going to be still in pit road. The 55 able to get the required damage done and will be back rolling, but it's 6 laps down. And the 3 machine of Chris Lannis, going to be just 4 laps down after getting their required damage fixed up. Up front, they're stuck, they're ready. This is going to be an awkward end of the finish. Less than 60 laps to go. Everyone should, if you protect your tires enough, should be able to make it to the end of this race without their pit, without having to pit again. But most of the field still has a set left to work with. Everyone inside that's on the lead lap still has one more set. So we have a caution later on. They will have one more set to put on. The question is, do we need another set, or can we make it to the end clean and green? Well, the field is stacked. They're ready. Pace car heading into pit road, and race number 7 here at Dover is about to get back underway. Mike Fahey could be leading the charge as we're back to green flag action. The inside row doesn't take off at all, and it is strictly the 45 and the 97 with a good launch. The 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco going to be getting a good launch for himself, trying to follow suit to take that second place position. But watch out for the 88 in the long run. That's going to be Drew Blaze that we expect to really pressure on forward, as it's Fahey, Don Francesco, as well as Meese, Blaze, and a Boomershine on the lead lap. Everyone else, well, you're multiple laps down. The only drivers that are racing for position while multiple laps down is actually the battle that's going on for 12th place, and that's between Caden Watts and Justin Johnson. All top 5 going to be all for position for themselves. Another positional battle also could be for the 10th place position between Gruel and also going to be DuBose, which DuBose involved in that most recent incident that brought out our caution. But everyone else in line trying to stay single file out. And how do you want to protect your tires, or are you willing to get aggressive? That's going to be the question for these final 55 laps, because Fahey says aggression is what I want. Burn up these tires, and the 45 is right back to what he did the first run of this race, which was build a lead. He had over a 3-second gap lead that he was able to control for the later half of the run. He's trying to do a similar thing here. Dan Francesco, you got to think, are you willing to catch up? Are you going to linger back? Meese also has been sticking with the 24. Whatever strategy he does, that's what the 97's doing. Drew Blaze is going to back off and save his tires for the later half run to push and be aggressive. That's where he found the advantage early in this race. See how well he can run, but here's the thing. Eric Dillingham, who's 2 laps down currently with the timing of the caution and when it came out, that 98 and the 88, they have been battling for position all night long. This isn't for position on the leaderboard, but on track. Their duel continues on between the 88 and 98. This is kind of fun to see that these drivers are still willing to go with their back and forth battle. As in pit road, still going to be Harold Crow as he falls down. That's going to allow Alan Swan Booth to gain as well at the 21 of Corbin Reach to try to gain some of those positions back with the trouble that has haunted the 33 here this evening. About to be 50 laps to go here this evening. Thank you to everyone that's been with us since the start. With the way that this evening started, you got to give credit on the fact that we've only had 2 cautions here tonight. Mike Fahey has been the driver that has been in control for most of it. Justin Johnson trying to recover after he had his speeding penalty that forced him into pit road with holding penalty that he just never has been able to recover back from. But showing the what-ifs, the pace in this 10 machine, the X machine, has been quite stout here tonight. Probably top 5, top 10 speed, and currently he's running with top 5 runner of Paul Boomershine. Boomershine seeing the traffic ahead of him, hoping not to be involved with any of that, as Johnny Bobby Brown, the 06, rides on the outside. Going to be going another lap down is the 06, but trying to stay outside of the wall as see the drivers kind of build a zigzag and zipper their way into line with one another and not make any contact. But Johnny Bobby Brown up to 9th place currently for himself, and that 06 trying to just continue to run close with some of these top contenders. Talking about close moments, also been keeping an eye out on our leader of Mike Fahey as he's building this gap out even more, up to 3 seconds now. He is still running very stout times compared to the rest of the field. And I'm nervous that he's burning up these tires to a point where he will not, if anyone's able to run him down, he won't have anything to even contend. As Dillingham, also Bobby Brown, you gotta stay away from that outside wall. It's a close one, and that's gonna be Justin Johnson who's gonna be bouncing off the wall, trying to stay away. Lots of time for the X10 machine. As now he'll have to falter back. Watch out for Ken Couch in the 08. Already saw issues with the 08 and the 7 earlier tonight. The Couch doesn't have any more problems here this evening, but with Johnson having his troubles, he'll now fall back close to the clutches of the 30 of Caden Watts. That's that green and white checkered machine in the 30 that's trying to run down the 10 that we're looking back on the gearbox of. Getting a sense of how this field is a sparks. That is just because how low these Gen 6 NASCAR Cup machines ride with the setups. They are constantly sparking at almost every track we go to. Well, there's your leader. Wait up quite a bit to 2nd place there. And then here's the lap car in 3rd place getting mixy into the wall, and then the rest of the field having their back and forth action between themselves. The battle for 4th also starting to get close. That's between Drew Blaze and Paul Boomershine. Boomershine trying to make a pass to close in the gap, as Blaze, on the other hand, making some passes over some lap cars that he's around. Now outside wall, just been sneaking up on everybody. Leaders really haven't been too close to touching it as much as everyone outside of our top 10 that have gotten a brush here or there, as Dillingham as well as Swan get close to one another. The 85 and then 89. Getting close on the exit turn number 4. There's going to be Blaze in the 88. Continuing to move his way forward in 4th place. What a recovery run of a night he's had. Disconnected, went 2 laps down, was running so fast and changing up the strategy that he was able to stay on the lead lap at time of caution and allowed this 88 to now be inside of the top 5 for a chance to get some big points. With the 7, our points leader of Colin Clary not involved in this race after caught up on a lap 4 wreck. Going to finish 22nd here tonight and not going to get the bonus points of finishing this race. That could allow Fahey into the mix to gain some big points. Also, 3rd place runner who's 2nd in points. That's Austin Meese. And 3rd in points, but running 4th on track, Drew Blaze. Try to cut into the massive points difference that those drivers had entering tonight. There's going to be Meese in 3rd place. Kind of a little bit of no man's land. The leader 6 seconds ahead. 2nd place, that is directly in front of this 97. Another 3 seconds. And then behind, about a 1.5 gap over Drew Blaze, who's under fire now from Boomershine. 2/10 the difference. Closest battle on track is that one for 4th. There's Boomershine in the white 92. Trying to continue on an incredible run. Finished in the top 3 at Richmond. Finished 2nd last week at Chicagoland. And trying to get another top 5 run here tonight for the 92. Boomershine, 2 top 5 so far this season, trying to grab his 3rd. And 3 top 5s overall this season over those 6 races ran. Ever since Freaky Fast has tackled on board with the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series, this 92 has stepped up his game. The camera and the lights not shining too bright for him as he's going for his dead. 3 races on Freaky Fast and 3 top 5s as it continues to race on in line. Starting to build a little bit of a gap now as Blaze tries to pull away. Other close battles that are happening back in 12th position. Justin X Johnson, gotta be careful. The 30 is catching up and he's right behind you. No other cars in between. Johnson, Watts, and Watts is closing in. This gap is now down to 3/10. It was about a half a second a couple laps ago. Watts trying to close in the gap. I'm curious if we can hop on board with the 30 because some of these drivers in the mid-pack, they've been having their back and forth moments. Well, I take that back. He's blinking now. Watts, I mean, having a little bit of wattage issues, trying to stay on track in the virtual world. Closing in on Justin Johnson, trying to find an opening. Johnson looks in his mirror, just seeing that driver disappear can be a little bit distracting. And you're never expecting to see a driver blink in and out behind you. And sometimes when that driver is disappearing, that vehicle can be shooting up into the sky. There's some weird internet things that can happen when a driver is disappearing from connection. But throughout the field, we're closing in on 30 laps to go. Johnson, who's missed out on the last 2 races, currently is 5th in points entering tonight. 1 win at Talladega. That was all the way back in race number 3 of the season. And all the other finishes of the other 4 races have been 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. So trying to continue on, was hoping to continue on the trend of top 10 finishes at every race that he started, but for the 10 machine, they need a little bit of help in terms of the drivers ahead have some misfortunes. We hop on board with Boomershine, who is hunting down Drew Blaze, but Blaze has turned up the heat, moving up into 4th. I mean, has stayed in 4th, but has built up the gap to 1.4 seconds. And continuing to try to pull away as quickly as possible. Other change of position. Watts has finally been able to make the pass over the 10 machine of Justin X Johnson. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we've had 2 cautions so far here tonight. We've had to change 3 different racing servers. We've had to change our own graphics periodically tonight earlier on. We had to change our cameras. We've moved from 2 commentators down to 1. It's been a topsy-turvy type of an evening, and we've only got 5 drivers on the lead lap. And oh no, Swan just took out the leader. Mike Fahey has been put into the outside wall, and now the 24 taking the lead position. Oh no, lap traffic just threw away Fahey's win potentially. He stays on the outside, no caution is thrown, and here's what happened to Mike Fahey. To the inside, lap car drives right into him, and Mike Fahey's win is over. He's forced into pit road. He's down to the apron. No caution is thrown. Oh my goodness. And now it's less than 30 laps to go for Don Francesco to get the victory. Oh, and it looks to be slight net code, but also contact with the lap car. You just hope that the driver that is multiple laps down just gets out of the way. But not the case. 20 laps down. And let's take another look at this. What happened to Mike Fahey and also Alan Swan? Exit the corner. Swan goes high. Fahey just on the seam, but it's net code that pulls them together. And the 85, the 45 make contact, and from the lead to out of the race in a blink of an eye. Oh, that is heartbreaking to have a driver that's 20 laps down and the leader make contact. But now it changes up. It's now up to Nicholas DeFrancesco and Austin Mees. These two have been on top of each other all night long, and now it's less than 30 laps to go. Is it the 24, the 97, or will it be Drew Blaze, who disconnected and was gone for 2 whole laps to come back and win this race? Here's the 24, about a 1.5 gap lead over Austin Mees. What a bizarre moment that you can't predict these type of things. I mean, you had Colin Clairhy taken out in the first 4 laps of this race. You had Goodpaster disqualified from the race because he just didn't want to pit. You had Blaze disconnected from this race for 2 laps. And it all is coming down to these final moments. Less than 25 laps to go here tonight. And Blaze is turning it on. He's trying to run down the 97 to maximize his points. This is all about closing in the gap to Colin Clairhy, who did show up here tonight, caught up in that early wreck, gonna finish 22nd here this evening. And the 97 second in points, 88 third in points, and running third here tonight. Both know they need a good finish here this evening. Now going to be trying to run down the 24, who's almost 2 seconds ahead, and it's a shifting now position. Mike Fahey's kind of strategy of build the gap and then try to just minimize the amount of bleeding that happens later on in the run is now in the hands of the 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco. Where are these drivers going to find that little bit of extra speed, as Fahey will not finish in the top 10 here this evening? He is now falling outside of the top 10 in pit road required damage. He's got no front bumper. He is in the same situation as a couple of others. Also, Alan Swan into pit road. And it looks to be trouble striking for one of the drivers. Black flag just given to Johnny Bobby Brown, and that is because he has gone over the incident limit of 14. That means that he has a drive-through penalty for the 06 that has to serve now. As you're just seeing the snowball factors, drivers have had bad races just continue to get worse, and drivers that have had some minorly good races so far are now just hoping that the bad luck doesn't strike them. But the gap is dwindling down. The 24, the 97, the 88. The gap was up to almost 2 seconds. It's now almost down to a second between first and second. This is the closing rate. Less than 20 to go. Does Nicholas have the speed to hold back the pressure from Austin in the 97? The 4th place driver that's on the lead lap, that's Paul Boomershine. He's over 7 seconds back. He is not a factor. It is just our top 3 if we stay green. If we have a caution, I mean, who knows who could try to get into the mix here. It's down to a second, and we now also are starting to see the lap traffic influence this race. This has been the make or break for a lot of these green flag runs. We're 42 laps into this, and who's got the tires? I mean, I talked about the fact that they should be good on tires for this run. It was a little bit more than 55 laps, close to 60 laps. They were gonna have to push this final set to the end. But if you were pushing aggressively from the start to the very end, you could only make it about 50 laps. You had to save a little bit to be able to attack. I believe all of our front runners have enough that they've saved to run down and battle for this lead without having to worry about saving a little bit. With 16 laps to go, it's Don Francesco. Where can you hold back Mies, Blaze, as they're closing in the race? Lap cars you're hoping will just get out of the way. Don't make me lose any more time, while the 97 on the other side is saying, please pull back the 24. Don't allow them to build the gap back up to over a second. Looking at the lap times for Blaze, it's a 24-2. Nicholas in the 24, it's also a 24-2. Pretty equal times between their top three. A lot of gain, a lot lost. It's really minimal at this current moment. It's really based off how well can you get through this lap traffic. Mies right now in the 97, he has done a great job trying to get his way through the fastest of our top three. Nicholas able to get by Gruel in the 94. Hold around back, a few drivers getting close to that outside wall. A caution wouldn't hurt the top three, I think, as much as they would think, as all of them still have tires to work with. As Gruel just out of control for a second there was the 94, just trying to stay in the top 10. But the difference, it's now down to a half a second. 12 laps to go here at Dover. Is it the 24, the 97, or the 88? Lap cars now with fresh rubber are getting into the mix. It's going to be seen the 19 of Jacob D. Booth. We just got some fresh rubber in the 19 that's going to hounding our 97 driver. Other drivers that also got some pit stops now passing. It's going to be Johnny Bobby Brown that's moved up into 9th, pushing Austin Gruel back to 10th. Here we go. The difference is now down to less than 4/10. Dan Francesco, Mies, who's got the tires? And will the lap car back off? Will they make the pass initially? It's 10 laps to make the decision in the pass. We also are going to be having Blaze a second back. So if these top two really start racing, they don't make the pass efficiently, the 88 could get another chance to fight for the win. But here we go. It's Mies on the outside, able to get to the outside quarter panel, trying to force the 24 low. Not going to be the case. Nicholas in the 24 holds strong. Almost a little bit of tap going into turn number 1. Austin to the outside. Can he find a good early apex? Was trying to straighten out just a little bit earlier. Now we'll dive to the inside into turn number 3. 9 laps to go. Almost contact, exit at turn number 4. Dan Francesco into the wall. And there goes Mies. Front bumper ahead. Dan Francesco not giving up. Even with the contact, he tried to fly back, but it wasn't enough for the 24. He's not over. Diving that down low to the inside. Drew Blaze contact. He's sent to the inside wall. It's just a 2-horse race. As now it's the 24. 97. 8 laps to go. Here, it was all on the line. Lap car getting into the mix. It's Harold Crow that got into Blaze. Is the 33s done? Or will we get into the mix here with our top 2 with 7 to go? Blaze is now over a second and a half back, but it's Mies. It's Dan Francesco. 6 laps to go. Lap cars are now starting to pile up behind our leaders that just continue to stay side by side. Exit turn number 2. Is there an opening? Not for me. Dan Francesco, even with slamming the wall, was able to be fully clear for a second. Mies now going to be tackling again with another aggressive move on the outside. Stay away from the wall. You got a good chance to win. By 5/1000ths of a second, it was Don Francesco who was the driver ahead. 24, this is impressive. Again, clobbering the wall and still having the fight. Lap car behind him, going to be the 44 of Matthew. Going to be Hobbs. Hobbs has had a rough evening. Please don't cause any more as Mason to the wall. Going to be able to keep his foot in the throttle, and then no still ahead for the 97. The back and forth continues on between these front two. They have been grueling. They've been fighting. They have been on top of each other for almost every single lap of these 257. And off the exit turn number 4, you've got 3 lap cars behind you, and contact made once again. It is Nicholas holding strong. Now going to be 3 laps to go. Harold, Hobbs, they still battle back and forth. And now less than a half a second back is Drew Blaze. And Mies is fully cleared. About to be 2 laps to go. Mies, Don Francesco. Where do you go? The 24's tires are gone. He's got nothing to fight back. And now 2 laps to go for Mies to try to pull away. There's 2 lap cars and 1 lead lap driver holding back Drew Blaze. The 88's too far. Does the 24 have one more chance? One more hope? Can you close in the gap just one more time? Because out of 4, we got 1 more lap to go. White flags in the air here at Dover. 260 laps. We've had 3 different servers. We've seen lead lap drivers being taken out. We've seen disqualifications. We've seen tires blown. But it was all the 97. Austin Mies off the exit turn number 4. Welcome to victory lane. The 97 wins here tonight for his 2nd win of the season. Austin Mies won at Auto Club to start the season off. Got a little bit of assistance with seeing Mike Fahey knocked out of this race, but he had to fight. He had to attempt every different angle to go for the pass over Nicholas, and he found the opening when it mattered. Lap cars, got to give credit to them. They stayed out of the way for most of it. I know Drew Blaze is not happy with the 33 and their contact that was made. I kind of threw away Drew's chance of fighting for the win. But Austin gets it done. The driver that was 2nd in points that needed to maximize, and he does just that. Congratulations to the 97 of Austin Mies, who will take the victory. Also, congratulations to Nicholas, Dan Francesco, Andrew Blaze, and Paul Boomershine. All 4 drivers able to stay on the lead lap. But for us up in the booth, we will step away. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3, get their thoughts on this evening's race and the madness that was all around. And we'll get you ready for next week. Charlotte, full length 400 laps. Oh, it's going to be a good one. But you don't want to miss out on the post-race show. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting's post-race show for the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing Series. Race number 7 is in the books. Full moon might be out somewhere in the world because it was a wild one here tonight. After all of the shenanigans that went down, your winner is Austin Meese in the 97. Let's bring Austin up in here and get his thoughts on the wild night that we had as the 97 machine in victory lane. Austin, I mean, we went through 3 different servers, drivers taken out early that were favorites. We saw drivers taken out late that were favorites. And ultimately, it was you and Nicholas fighting and clawing at the end. Man, how are you feeling coming away with the victory after all of that?
Man, I am tired. That was really fun though. I couldn't ask for a better finish. Mano a mano, racing it out. It was fantastic. I don't know what happened at the end there to the 45 or the 20, whatever number he is there. But as soon as he was out, it was like blood in the water at that point. And I knew I just had to get to him. And once I could get to him, I felt like I had a pretty good chance of racing him clean, racing him hard, and getting around for that win. It was really fun tonight all around.
I mean, I got to say, both yourself and Nicholas were putting on a show from the start of the race to the end. You guys seem like you were connected at the hip. What was it like growing throughout this race and knowing that guy was always there and you knew you had to find a way to get by him just for position throughout the race and trying to find the timings to come into pit road?
Yeah, absolutely. The second stint there, honestly, I don't want to reveal too many of my secrets, but I was pretty much sizing him up there. It may kind of early in that second run, maybe mid. I can't fully remember at this point, but I kind of stayed behind him, just watched his lines, kind of seeing how he acted, because I had a feeling when it come down to it, he was going to be up there, and I was going to have to get around him. So just studying his lines, studying how he drove, and again, just like I said last week, it was patience. I knew if I kept pressure up and was in that position at the end to make that pass, that we were going to be able to pull it off, and we did.
Well, we are now going to be heading into race number 8 of the season. It's going to be our second full-length race. It's going to be the longest one of the season. We got the full-length Charlotte race next week. What's the confidence level heading into 1.5 miles? Because we've seen that you can be quick at those types of tracks.
For me, confidence is really high, in a humble way, of course. 1.5 miles are my bread and butter, if that's not obvious at this point. But, I've put in a lot of laps at Charlotte. I've actually competed in some money races there and done pretty well. So Charlotte for me is actually one of my favorite ones. I don't know what it is, but it just, especially 3 and 4, I can just fly around it. So I'm actually looking forward to next week and have been all year.
Well, we can't wait to see how you perform next week, Austin. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, McConey's Setup Shop and Jeff, we're actually kind of reached out to him earlier this week for the setups at Vegas. So, he's always willing to listen and take criticism and give it as well. So always appreciated there. Demon Decals, they're on the hood. Skip and Sons Heating and Air, 76 Customs, Show Me Restoration, all those guys, they're just fantastic. Can't thank them enough. You guys for putting this on, sticking out, especially like you said earlier with all 3 servers and kind of the mumbo jumbo going on. So appreciate you sticking with us. And then of course the admins, Justin and Drew, for putting this thing on.
It certainly was a wild one, but Austin, you put on a show and a clinic there at the end. Congratulations on this win. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Charlotte.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
You too, as that is going to be the 97 machine of Austin Meese going to be taking the victory here tonight. Again, his second of the season. But the driver that came up just shy, going to be Nicholas Danfrancesco. Let's bring up the 24 machine, get his thoughts on that wild finish. Nicholas, I mean, you as well as Austin were just battling and grueling back and forth. I thought your race, you had the chance to win, but then you got caught. What was going through your mind in those later stages of those laps coming to the end?
Well, I was trying to catch the 45 because I figured he was gonna like burn his tires up that first half of that run, and then whatever happened with him in that lap car or whoever changed the whole outcome of how that race was gonna end. So, and I knew already that Austin was a little bit quicker than me based on like speed and everything, and I knew I was gonna have to try something to hold him off. and I did there for a few laps side by side with him, and I knew whoever got out front between the two of us was going to win the race. And I also was running out of tire trying to catch the 45 there, so ultimately I used up my tires too early, trying to maintain the distance to the 45, and ultimately Austin was able to catch me based off of that, I believe. But we'll never know now.
Yeah, I mean, it was still an incredible run for yourself, your first top 5 of the season. You've had some fast machines that we've seen so far in just the 3 races we've watched, but tonight, you and Austin were always battling back and forth. What was it like being and knowing that you had your own competition around you for most of these 260 laps?
Um, I don't know, honestly, because I've never really raced with Austin up here. I'm usually in the back or mid pack, but I guess tonight just happened to be. But yeah, Austin's a good guy, someone you can learn off of. So it's gotten to be up here racing with him, and just I feel like he taught me so much on tire management, even though he just because there was a time in that race where him and Mike were, I don't know, about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of me because I thought maybe if I saved enough tire and let them come back to me, then maybe, but the caution came out for that. So stacked everybody up together, and then yeah.
Well, it was certainly fun to watch you grow throughout tonight and find that speed and find that long run pace. And second place is still an incredible run for yourself. Like I said, your first top 5 of the season. We're now going to the longest race of the season, Charlotte, 400 laps, 600 miles. What's the confidence, or do you feel prepared to do that type of a grueling race next week?
Um, there's going to be a lot of work that goes into that race for sure. 400 laps is a long time, so just gotta be mentally prepared for it, and physically. Well, I don't know about physically, but definitely mentally prepared for it.
Physically, for sure. I agree that that could be a factor for some guys that are not prepared for that long of a race. Nicholas, congratulations on second here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any other shout outs.
Um, honestly, I don't really have any sponsors except for obviously the guys that I had on the pit crew for keeping me up front all day. uh, you guys for allowing me and Austin to put on the show for the fans that tune in every week. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned about sponsors and stuff like that.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show and sticking it out through all the weird fiasco we had earlier on this evening. Congratulations on second. Enjoy this one and good luck next week at Charlotte.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to be second place finisher of Nicholas DeFrancesco. We're also going to move down to third place, which I think this interview might be going a little bit differently than those other top 2. We got Drew Blaze, which, I mean, if we were given awards of just mental fortitude of the night, this guy deserves it. Disconnected for multiple laps, comes back, still on the lead lap after all the pit strategies. And Drew, you come away third here tonight. What a run for yourself. How are you feeling after this roller coaster of an evening? And you almost were there to take the win.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to feel. That was just a very roller coaster of emotions, like you said. And I honestly thought I was kind of dead in the water there. And yeah, I don't know how exactly I made it, back to the lead lap or anything. But I was like, as soon as I realized I was like right on the tail end of the lead lap and I had the leaders behind me, I was trying to just keep them behind me and just wait for that caution. And I pitted a little early and try to get some ground between me and the leaders, and it kind of worked out. And yeah, it's, a lot of things had to fall my way, and luckily I was, we had that one caution where I was able to get back to the leaders, so and give me a second chance there. But yeah, no, nothing else. No race quite like that for me.
It certainly was a wild one to watch. I think we're still trying to figure out how you stayed on the lead lap and were able to get into that position. I know during that long green flag run, yourself and Eric Dillingham were having your own little battle going back and forth of trying to stay on the lead lap with the leaders hounding on your back bumpers. What was that like, knowing you're racing for position, but also fighting so hard to stay on the lead lap?
Yeah, I was honestly just hoping Eric would be kind of tame and kind of realize the situation where we're both trying to stay on the lead lap and not go a lap down. And I think then it happened briefly, and then we made our pit stops and kind of cycled things back around to where I was able to barely stay ahead of leaders. But yeah, it was just kind of a strategy thing all night, just trying to pace the tires. And I certainly thought I was not going to be in the position that I was in after that disconnect, so I was pushing my tires pretty hard after that. And yeah, I don't know. I have to go back and look because I do not know how I ended up back on the lead lap.
Hey, whenever you find that out, let us know. But we also know you need to prep for next week. Charlotte, longest race of the season. What's your confidence heading into that type of a race? And have you ever done a full-length Charlotte race before?
Oh yeah, I've done the official Charlotte full-length race that they do every year in the NASCAR iRacing series. So I kind of know what I'm getting myself into. It's going to be long. You just gotta you gotta play the mental game where you just gotta not run so hard on the edge of the whole time to where you're prone to making mistakes, but just keeping a good pace and taking care of your stuff.
Well, we cannot wait to see how yourself and the rest of the field perform next week. But before we let you go, Drew, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just all my guys at Lonestar Racing here. Just a fantastic group of guys. Can't ask for anything better. Justin, Mike, Ken, Kenneth, just all my guys, man. Just would not be able to do it without them. Even the new guys we've brought on are awesome group of guys. So shout out to them. Thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast, and thank you for our drivers coming out here and put on a show. This was we only had 2 cautions, and I'm proud of our guys for doing that because you don't really see that on a track like Dover here.
Oh, with how much of a handful it looked, I thought we were going to have a lot more cautions. They really did do a good job. Drew, congratulations on third here tonight. We can't wait to see how you perform next week at Charlotte. You have a good one, and good luck next week.
Thank you. You guys have a good one too. Appreciate it.
As that will be your third place runner of Drew Blaze in the 88. Certainly a wild night overall, as you can see the marbles, you can see the rubber placed. It was a long one of seeing drivers trying to survive the night, and that was the ultimate goal for a lot of the crew out there on course. As we take a look at our unofficial results, finishing up front, gonna be Austin Meese in the 97, grabbing a second win of the season. He won at Auto Club, and now could say he won at Dover. That is 2 completely different tracks. I think the 97 gonna be a driver to watch out for, as this was a big points day with his competition of Colin Clairkey not finishing in the top 20 and not even finishing the race. This is a points day that can bring him back into the fight for the championship this season. In second place, it's Nicholas DeFrancesco in the 24, his first top 5 of the season. Gotta love that for the 24, who had a really good day. Drew Blaze, after all of his ups and downs, takes third. Paul Boomershine taking fourth, so not able to get another top 3, but still a solid day for the 92. Eric Dillingham survives, going a lap down, will be the first driver multiple laps down at 2 in fifth. Sixth place was Ken Couch, and Ken Couch, I mean, he started the night off terribly with getting involved with Colin Clary, but will take the advantage of a top 10 finish for the 08. The 3 of Chris Loss is going to be coming away from a 7th place finish after his ups and downs. I mean, Trace DeBose, I mean, it required damage, caught up in that second caution of the day and able to rebound into 8th. Johnny Bobby Brown going to come away in 9th after slamming the wall a couple of times. 94 of Austin Gruel going to be 7 laps down, taking 10th. And also going to be seeing Kidden Watts and Justin Johnson, your top 12. But we look at the rest of the field, there's a lot of question marks that I think are going to be thrown out. First and foremost, Mike Fahey, the what if that 45 was flying but got caught up with the wreck of Alan Swan in the 85, he finishes in 18th. That 45, I think a win is looming, but finishing a race has got to be the first goal with the speed that 45 has. But the bad luck is soon really looming there. Other drivers, our points leader coming away 22nd. Certainly not the night that they want to have for Colin, but we'll see how well they rebound next week as we've got Charlotte. You thought tonight was long. Next week will be the longest race of the season. Full length, 600 miles, 400 laps, all at Charlotte, and all will be broadcasted here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Oh, it's going to be a long one next week. Can't wait for it. But for tonight, thank you so much for hanging out with us as we're calling it an evening. I want to say thank you to Zach Hall, who had to leave early. He was having some issues that he needed to go take care of. I want to say thank you to our producer, Robert Moyer Jr. in the background, for sticking around with me. And we were able to tough it out to the very end here at Dover. I mean, this evening was a wild one. We had 3 different sessions. The first one was canceled because the admins accidentally were disqualifying drivers instead of EOLing them. The second session that they put up, we accidentally found ourselves on an Australian server, and you thought netcode was bad here. It would have been 1,000 times worse if we were racing on that server. And then finally we got to our third server, and it gave us even more shenanigans. We saw drivers get disqualified because they didn't want to pit after blowing up their tires. We saw drivers getting taken out in the first 4 laps of the race. We saw some taken out in the final 20. But at the end of the day, it was all the 97 of Austin Meese taking it to victory lane. We can't wait to see how the rest of this thing goes. But for us up here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we want to say thank you to everyone that was hanging out with us in the chat, those that rewatched this broadcast. Thanks for being with us. It was a pleasure to give you the call here this evening. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for spending your Monday night with us. We can't wait to see how next week comes to a conclusion, because it's going to be a wild one. Who wins the full race at Charlotte? Who's going to survive? Who's going to be taken out early? All questions will be answered next week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Cannot wait for it. We'll see you on our next broadcast next Monday.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame, 'cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. Up, it's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here?